In a quiet village, cradled between rolling hills and mist-laden meadows, stood a small cottage, its stone walls softened by ivy, its windows glowing warmly against the twilight. There, a narrow path, worn smooth by time, led through a flourishing garden, brimming with herbs and wildflowers to an ancient apple tree. Each autumn the tree bore fruit like no other, apples so sweet and fragrant that their scent drifted through the village. Their skins shone like polished rubies, and their taste was rumoured to bring comfort to even the weariest soul. In that cottage lived an old woman, her frame small and bent with age, her hands weathered from years of kneading dough and tending her garden. Her eyes, deep and warm, held the quiet wisdom of someone who had spent a lifetime watching the seasons turn. Each fall she gathered the apples with careful hands, turning them into pies and tarts so delicious they seemed touched by enchantment. She shared them freely. Children ran laughing to her doorstep. Farmers brought her flour and butter in quiet gratitude, and even the poorest, who had nothing to offer in return, left her home with full stomachs and warm hearts. But as the years passed and her hair turned silver, a strange autumn arrived. The apple tree, once heavy with fruit, bore only a single apple. Yet this apple was unlike any she had ever seen, round and full, its skin shimmering with a golden-red glow. It seemed to hold a light of its own, and when she cupped it in her hands, she felt warmth, as though the tree had poured its last breath of life into this single fruit. She couldn't bring herself to slice it, couldn't bake it into anything, for to do so felt like an unthinkable sin. So, she placed it in her cupboard for safekeeping. That winter, the branches of the apple tree withered, and in the warmth of spring it did not awaken. There were other apple trees in other gardens, and the women of the town were happy to provide her with the sweet fruit for her pies and tarts, but none were as fragrant and beautiful as the apple in her cupboard that had remained so since the day it was plucked. The seasons passed, and the old woman grew frail. Her hands no longer had the strength to knead dough or tend her garden, but she was well cared for. The villagers brought her food and tended her hearth, though she was warmed more from all her memories than the fire. Then, one evening, she took to her bed, and come morning, she was too weak to rise. The news of it spread, and the villagers gathered outside her cottage, their hearts heavy with love and sorrow. A young nurse tended to the woman as she lay dying. She searched the kitchen for something to bring her comfort. That was when she found the apple in the cupboard, still fresh, still glowing as if kissed by autumn's last light. Without hesitation, she cut it into pieces, boiled it, turned it into a sweet, fragrant cider. Then she carried a steaming cup to the woman's bedside and gently pressed it to her lips. "I made you some cider. Please drink it," she whispered. The old woman looked at the cup, then at the nurse, her dimming eyes filled with sudden worry. "You didn't use the apple in the cupboard, did you?" she asked softly. "No," the nurse lied. "I brought one of my own." With a quiet nod, the old woman lifted the cider to her lips. As she sipped, warmth spread slowly and gently through her. Her cheeks flushed, and the weariness in her eyes began to soften too, as if the weight of years was being quietly lifted. She closed her eyes and smiled, letting the warmth settle deep within her. The next morning she was sitting up in bed, her breath steady and even. The air in her cottage even felt different. She rose slowly at first, then with a quiet confidence she walked to the creaky door of her cottage. She opened it and was bathed in golden sunlight as the villagers marvelled at her recovery. In the weeks that followed, she became transformed. Her hair became thick and golden, her skin smooth and radiant with the glow of youth. The villagers noticed, of course, and at first they rejoiced. The old woman they loved had not died, but soon they learned that with her youth many memories were lost. The warmth of her kitchen, the countless joys of kneading dough and tending her garden she couldn't recall. Try as she might, she could never bake anything nearly as tasty as before. The other ladies in the town even tried to teach her to hopefully reawaken her lost talent, but it was no use. She would forget everything they taught her by the next day, and she would either burn the pies or they would taste horrible. Eventually, she just walked aimlessly about the town. The villagers, saddened at the sight of her, ignored her. The children teased her. Then, in time, a strange sense of dread fell over the town. Neighbours began to quarrel frequently. Feuds arose, no one got along any longer, and as the years passed, one by one the villagers began to move away. The once old woman, now a naive youth, believed she was somehow to blame. She began to secretly plant apple trees around the town, one for every person who had left, hoping she could atone for some sin she had committed, though she knew not what it could be. In time, the village was no more. Only a forest remained, a quiet, endless apple orchard. Travellers passing through would claim to hear laughter on the fragrant breeze. Some swore they saw a lone figure, a woman sometimes old, sometimes young, drifting barefoot through the endless grove. Thus, a legend was born of the old woman who lived her life backward until finally she was but a newborn babe lying on the grass beneath one of these very apple trees. No one remembers the villagers now, or the town or the beautiful apple in the cupboard for that matter. No. No one but me, that is. The nurse who made a cider from it and brought it to the old woman. And so, friend, if you ever find yourself in a forest, beneath the shade of an apple tree, and you see one that is particularly ripe and beautiful, close your eyes and listen. Through the rustling leaves, you may hear the echo of the woman's laughter, soft as a lullaby. Admire her beauty, but pluck it at your peril.